The most widespread epidemic in the world today is obesity. In some countries, actually, we have up to 70% in some cities population who can be classified as obese. So why do we have this epidemic? The culprit actually is overeating. That is the only scientific explanation. Now, the question is, why do we overeat? There are two avenues of explaining this. There are two broad answers. The first one is because of hormones, and I don't want to go into the details of hormones, how hormones can make you overeat, because we have two hormones that regulate your appetite, ghrelin and lectin. Those are the two hormones that regulate your appetite. There are other hormones also that affect your appetite, like cortisol. Cortisol is produced by your adrenal glands, and cortisol can make you feel hungry, cravings of especially sugar and carbohydrates. Cortisol also is a stress, we call it the stress hormone. Cortisol is what gives you stress. So that's why you see people who are depressed or stressed, they also feel cravings and they can gain weight. But that is a topic for another day. I want to give you the second explanation, which is the biggest cause of overeating. Because when you know the reason, you are empowered, and when you are empowered, then you can make the right decisions. The reason why humans overeat, actually are psychological and cultural. Okay, they are psychological and cultural. So let me take you back a little bit of history, because I want you to understand where this started hitting us. During the Second World War, we discovered the explosive power of nitrates. We started making these nitrates and ammonia to make bombs. So we discovered nitrates in the process of killing others. We wanted to kill ourselves, kill others. That's how we discovered nitrates. Now, after the Second World War, 1945, we discovered also that we could use these nitrates in agriculture. Okay, and it was a discovery that was a product of the war. Now plants make food mostly they take nitrogen from air, but most of the nitrates, made from nitrogen, is found in the soil. We have some bacteria inside in the soil that can convert these nitrates into ammonia, and that way the plants now can get the food. Now we discovered that we can create these nitrates in the lab, just like we created them during the Second World War, during the war, to make bombs. Now we can create these nitrates to make fertilizers. And for the first time in the world, after 1945, we started manufacturing more food, both manufacturing and growing more food than we needed. Actually, right now, in some countries, right from the 1960s, in some countries from the 1980s, and from 2000 going onwards, almost every country in the world can get all the food that they need. People only starve because food cannot get to them, not because that there is not enough food. So we started. Now this scenario was incorporated into world economies. Most economies discovered that when people eat more, the economy grows. So governments started encouraging people to eat. It started in USA, America, the fattest country in the world. Where they started telling people, we are giving you money, you go and eat. We are giving you this, you go and eat. We are going to give you ovens. We are going to give you gas cookers. We are going to give you fridges. Remember, all these things, all these devices were created to enable people to find food. You know, and this kind of encouragement started in America and it started spreading all over the world. We started getting commercials. If you walk in any street, in any city, almost all the cities in the world, most of the billboards that you get, you see, advertising things to do with the food. I think you have seen that. So what happens in your brain, that's why I'm telling you it's psychological. What happens in your brain when something is repeated and repeated again, there is a process we call neuroplasticity. Your brain connections, your neurons starts making new connections, and you start altering your reality. You know, it becomes a culture. It's something you cannot move away from. You see food everywhere. You hear about food everywhere. You are born with the culture of food. Eating in the morning, eating at 10, eating at 1. Actually, the definition today of somebody who is suffering is somebody who is not getting 3 square meals in a day. But you don't need 3 square meals in a day. But now we have come to a level by where we are now describing suffering as lack of 3 square meals in a day. Go to the United Nations. We have what we used to have actually, because now they are gone, Millennium Development Goals. Most of this dealt with food, you know, getting food to everyone. We did not realize that there's a limit, because these kind of policies are not designed by scientists, they are designed by politicians. So people overeat because it has become a culture. So people eat because it has become a culture to overeat. It is wired into our brains, and it will take a long time or a revolution to convince people that this kind of eating is not good for our health. Now, let's go back to where we started. We discovered these nitrates to make explosives to kill ourselves. And right now, we are still killing ourselves with these kind of chemicals, because now we are putting it into the soil to make a lot of food that is killing us. So we discovered these things to kill ourselves, and we are still killing ourselves with these chemicals through the food that we eat.